right, Miss Brown. I welcome you to our career chat today. And if you want to, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, that's totally fine. Afternoon. It's not morning anymore. So good afternoon, you guys. My name is um Tynesha Brown. I am currently a web content specialist for North Carolina A&T, and then I also teach at North Carolina A&T as a in the professor in the graphic design technology department. I have one of my students, one of my star students, Zaria Cameron. We're going to go over and just discuss a little bit of thing about graphic design, how we got started into it, where we're from, and information about that. So I am going to. Is it okay that I share my screen?
You should be able to share it. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. We prepared a small presentation.
And thank you for doing that. You just have some really neat work that you've been doing.
Thank you. So, all right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so like I said, my name is Tynesha Brown. Just a little background history about me. I graduated from North Carolina A&T in 2012 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Graphic Communication Systems. After graduation, I went to receive my master's at Elon in 2014 in interactive media, and that's kind of where my interactive skills, UX skills begin to build, and information like and things like that. It kind of enhanced the graphic design skills that I already received at North Carolina A&T. As mentioned before, I'm a web content specialist for North Carolina A&T, so a lot of the written content that's on the website, a lot of things there like the icons, the pictures, graphics, stuff like that. I posted my number one section that I post for is the human resources department. For North Carolina A&T, a lot of their forms I build, making sure they're accessible and things like that. That I do. I also teach in North Carolina A&T in the computer graphic technology department, and then I also have a small business that I do freelance work for several different small businesses throughout the city. But I also do freelance work for the defensive end for Brian Burns, he's the Carolina Panthers, and then also I do Cam Newton, who's the quarterback for the New England Patriots. So I'm just gonna kind of go show you guys a little bit about how my work varies, how it goes from logos to social media posts and things like that. So, okay, so here is a couple of logos that I've designed for several different companies. This one on the left hand right here, the Kendall Bailey. This is a logo. A person was starting their own hairline, and they were naming it after their daughter, Kendall Bailey. So they really wanted to emphasize the K, but then they also wanted to make sure that people understand the Kendall Bailey. So here's were a couple different logo layouts that I came up with, and then I end up coming up with this was the final one that they chose on, and they wanted to keep it simple, just using black and white. They didn't want any colors because their bottles are orange, so they really wanted to kind of keep it really simple. Here's another one that I did for a teenager. She started her own she sells bracelets and lip gloss line, and they named it after the Bratz. And she really wanted to kind of really focus it and have it using making it look like the Bratz um, characters. So she would use basically created these lips, and then they wanted to do like the halo type of thing that kind of represents like the jewelry that they sell. And then they call it the Bratz collection because when you buy lip gloss, you get like a free bangle. So that was for a teenager that I did. This is for another couple logos that I did. This is for a beauty salon that I did a few years back for locally for here in Greensboro, and then this is for a barber. He's Ike the barber on here. So this is the logo that I created for him. He really kind of wanted to represent him, his shop, and like how much he likes cartoons, but he also wanted that to reflect his barbering skills. So that was a couple logo designs. I also do T-shirt designs for many different people. Here is the one in the black and white. The 1920 is a typical um t-shirt design. This person really wanted to focus on the Black Wall Street in the 1920s, and in the image is the um, buildings that were in on Black Wall Street before it was burned down. And then this one is for a local church. This is for their young adult ministry. They really wanted to play off like the Martin 90s theme, and they really wanted to kind of have that. So I was able to take that and manipulate it and put it on a t-shirt design. And the YAM stands for like young adult ministry. And I think they're like Young Adult Ministry 300 because they're trying to reach at least 300 people. So that was one way that we was able to create some t-shirt designs. I do a lot of social media graphics as well. Here is to the left, the one that says the GOAT was a sermon series that the pastor was preaching on. So I did the layout. The GOAT, it was called like the greatest of all time, but he wanted to really emphasize the GOAT. Here's just what the social media graphic has done. Here's also some social media graphic that I've done for, they were having a speaker, Tasha Cobb. She was coming to speak at a local church here in Greensboro. And I did the graphic and she reshared it. So I made sure that I took a picture when I saw that she reshared it. So this was something that I did for her, I meant for the church, and she just reposted it. I recently had the opportunity to do a book cover, which was really great because it was my first time ever designing the book cover. I've never did one before. So this is for entrepreneur here in the city. He's launching a book cover release called I Am Resilient, and he just wanted to be able to have people show that he was coming out with a book and that you should go purchase books, but he also wanted to be able to post it on social media. So I was able to do a book cover design, which is here, but then still also create the graphic for him to do on social media. And then my most current and consistent client that I have is the Barnes Burn team. I do something for them once or twice every week. So here's a simple graphic that they wanted to create for him. Um, I mostly contact with his people. He really wants to capture. He's really big on when he does a sack, he does the whole Spider-Man thing. So we wanted to capture the spider and then with the D, I mean the B two B's in the logo, but we also wanted to keep it 53 at the bottom because that's his number. So this is something that he posted on his story a couple of weeks ago, and we just wanted to kind of keep it simple on there. And here's another one when we're trying to get people to vote for him to go to the Pro Bowl that we created. So we took the same logo, switched it out, made it different color, and just really emphasized of him sacking people. And then he has a couple t-shirt lines that he's launching soon, and that we're putting this on and this logo on for people to purchase his t-shirt lines that he's launching soon. So here's like my most recent couple things that I've done for him, and then I've also had the opportunity to design for Cam. Um, I became connected with Cam through a person that I messaged on Instagram, and we became really cool. And he didn't have the time to design, so he asked would I do it. So that's how I became connected with Cam. So we kind of created. Cam is really big on his fashion and prepping, so he does like the behind the scenes of the game day prep for information like that. And we use the new feature. It's not really new. The Instagram, the swipe feature, and he really wanted to capture that. So here's one, two, three. The first three of them is six of them total. So we did the first three. This one has video in it as well. So if you have an Instagram and you follow Cam, you're able to see the video for the ones that can't move. And then here's another one that we have it. So we basically mask the things on top of it to see how he prepares for the game, how he is after the game, how he's with his children, and things like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and let Zaria talk, and then we can ask any questions at the end. Okay, Zaria, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you guys. Miss Brown is such an amazing and pivotal part of my life. And so I'm glad that she was able to, come and speak to you guys. So I'm a junior graphic design student in North Carolina A&T. I am originally from Georgia, which is where I am now due to COVID. But I recently actually transitioned into UX design independently. So we don't necessarily have we're getting ready to implement a UX design track as a part of our major, as a part of an department, but I will be graduating by then. But I really found a love for UX design because UX design allows me to pair my technology, my love for technology, as well as my design skills, and also working with people and creating an experience for people on digital platforms. And so I'm currently like interning as a UX designer, a part of a hair care startup, which is really fun. And it allows me to delve into a lot of different things that aren't just design related. And recently, within the past few months, I've created a program, a design initiative program that provides resources and events to prepping Black college students for the design industry. And so I plan on graduating to pursue a role as UX designer, which is something, again, like I said, has become a real passion of mine. Starting out as a graphic designer, I realized I wanted to do a little bit more that related heavily on people and technology. And so a lot of my work kind of reflects that. So I will be starting with like, oh yeah, next slide. I forgot you're the one controlling it. We can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this first one was I did for the school. They normally have an annual, this is pre-COVID, so they normally have an annual Super Bowl where they raise money for their food pantry. And so this was during basketball season, and they really wanted something that was really, that popped, as well as got people's attention to come to the game, and also to donate canned foods to our pantry that provides foods for the students across the university. So that one was actually pretty fun doing that one. And then we can go to the next slide. Probably within the past few months, I've really delved into like my UX design skills and done a lot of more projects relating to that. And so this was actually, there's lots of different competitions that are out there to really just like practice on those types of skills they have for students. Different like UX hackathons or design-a-thons, all these different things. And so this one in particular was with Adobe's Creative Jam competition. And this was really just like a part where you can watch or have trivia games based on your favorite Netflix movies. So you could sign in with your Netflix account. And then what was really important to me was that a lot of these things were relating to social justice issues that I'm really also passionate about as well. And it was important to me for people to not only have a game paired with that, but also to have healthy conversations with family and friends virtually. And this was like kind of a way to kind of combine all of that. So really focusing on the overall experience. And these are just a few like photos of what I had done for this competition. And through this competition, I actually won a free like 12-month subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. So that's also like why I love participating in Adobe's competitions, because it allows me to like win prizes like that. So we can go to the next one, Ms. Brown. And so this one was actually like a redesign of the website Frontier. When I first started out, it wasn't as diverse, and I wanted the website to reflect that, of like the inclusivity of providing care to, internet plans to multiple people across the board. And so I wanted my images and my icons and designs to reflect that, which is why I have like a Black family. And then like, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have like a Hispanic Asian family. And then sort of I have a mixture of people in the last bottom photo. And it was really simplistic, but I think it really brought out, of course, the information. And this was all designed in Adobe XD, which I think is a really cool platform to use if you want to go into UX design as well. And then I think I have one more. Yeah. And this one was actually something I did in Ms. Brown's class, which I really loved. Again, she was really like my pivotal point that got me into UX. And a lot of times, like, she'll have projects that maybe don't seem graphic design related, but obviously they are. And this helped me to develop my skills. This was an enhanced app. Basically, we created a coloring app for kids who were deaf. So that really delved into accessibility, making more that are inclusive and accessible for various people across the board. And that's what I really do love about, UX design and just, again, the part of making people's lives better, which is why I made that switch. And she definitely helped me in discovering my love for that. So that is like, I guess, a brief thing about my work and what I'm doing. And so, yeah.
All right. So do you guys have any questions for us so far?
You ladies have done some awesome work. I
Thank
really,
you.
it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a question actually. So I do follow Cam Newton on Instagram, and I have always wondered why he writes, and I don't even know what's that called, the words, that he writes. Why does he write that way, or do you do that?
No, he actually developed Firebase before I even connected with him. It was an app that
Oh,
he had a team develop. It's just the way he talks. It's just a part of like his swag.
okay.
That's just the way. But it's an app. It's in the Apple the App Store in Google and on iPhone.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like I think the app is like $1.99, but that's just a part of him. He's really particular about making sure that he's different
Right.
than anybody else. That's why he emphasis on how he dresses for the game, pregame, and things like that. But that's just he developed a team and hired a company to develop that app for him.
Wow. Okay. You all's work is absolutely amazing. It's great.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any more questions for us? Anybody put anything
I
in?
have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What classes do you have to take in high school to be able to do like that in college? Like kind of what sorry, I can't read.
It's Zaria. Is that directed towards me?
I'm so sorry. Well, yeah. So like what classes did you have to take in like high school to be able to do that in college?
I didn't actually. I mean, I had a digital media class, and that digital media class kind of got me in high school. Like that was dealing with learning just simple things like Photoshop and Illustrator. But that was my senior year of high school, and honestly, I didn't even really know exactly what I wanted to do until really my second year, or the end of my first year of my freshman year. And so that's why I always say, like, it's okay to not have it all figured out. But if you really want to start in like the space that I'm in, which is UX design, there's a lot of like obviously YouTube videos, but in terms of like free software, there's a software called Figma, Figma. And so that's really how I started. It's free, so obviously you don't have to pay for anything. And just like watching, YouTube videos, again, it doesn't have to necessarily be perfect. I think sometimes people think that it has to be perfect. But when you're first starting out, you're just trying to get experience and you're just trying to learn and grow. And I think maybe taking those design classes really gives you a leg up. I know like when I've done internships or just talked to people like who's already working in the corporate space, they always say like it's good to have those foundational skills in graphic design if you are a UX designer, because it definitely helps you to understand how to enhance the experience design wise. So I definitely think you could start off like that, and really teach yourself. I mean, that's what I've been doing along with like just learning, having that foundational skills in certain Adobe Creative Cloud softwares. But Honestly, yeah, I didn't start out learning that until probably like my second year of college.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Bethany, just to kind of piggy off of Zaria, when I met Zaria, she was a freshman. I remember her taking my intro to graphic design class, and she had no idea what she wanted to do. She was like, I don't know if I want to be a graphic designer, if I want to be a coder, if I want to do architect. Like, she had no idea. And we were just having a conversation. And I was like, well, I think you should figure it out. Like, figure out which way you wanted to go. She knew that she always wanted to do something and help people, but she just didn't know exactly what it was. So she started playing around with different stuff, and she happened to fall in UX, like fall in UX UI. But a lot of the UX UI stuff, we start teaching it here in at A&T in the fall. Zaria learned all of that on her own. A lot of the questions that she would have, if I was able to assist, I would assist her, but majority of it she learned on her own, but she really didn't. She had no idea, and it's very common to get in college and be like have no idea where you want to go, what you want to do. When I first my freshman year in college, I started as a computer engineer person, and I hated it. Like I was like, this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. So I ended up switching my major because in high school I did yearbook, but I really loved laying out the yearbook, and I ended up switching it to graphic communications, which is something that I was able to do. So it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. You eventually you'll find something and you'll figure it out as you go.
That's great advice right there. That really is.
Thank you.
We had another question in the chat. Was it a hard process to get where you're at now?
Um, it has its days. It's not really a hard process. I'm really big on finding your passion. Once you find your passion and what you love, you'll never feel like you work a day in your life. Like Zari can testify to this. Like teaching was something that I never saw. Being a professor was something I never saw myself doing. I was happening to do it to do the department a favor, but it's actually something that I grew to love. And when my students graduate, I get a little sad because they're leaving me. But at the same time, I'm really passionate about what we do in class. Like a lot of stuff that we do in class is what I do every day, daily on my everyday job. I give it to my students. And like Zari was saying with her enhanced project, that was something I remember giving it to the class, and they was like, Miss Brown, this is hard. Why you? I'm like, it's not hard. You just got to take the time to think about it. So once they started taking the time to think about it, it was they were able to do it, but it wasn't the process. It did have, I do have its days, I do have its challenges where it's like, oh, this is a lot, but it wasn't hard because it's something that I genuinely love doing. Whether I'm helping the one person down like across campus or whether I'm helping Brian Burns or Cam Newton, I genuinely love doing what I do. I'm one of those people who really go to bed at like 1, 2 o'clock, and I still have to be at work at 8:30. So I really love what I do. It's not really hard. I think is you work hard, you try your best and push yourself. But even if you do get those no's, it's okay. Eventually somebody's gonna tell you yes. Like for every no there is, you're gonna get a yes eventually. So it wasn't hard.
Hi, I have a question about like the software that you use for your graphic design because like I'm really interested in like the artistic part of it more in graphic design and like more of like the Illustrator part of that. I've kind of like experienced a little bit in like some software, but I've definitely tried to take some online classes like through just free, on online classes like YouTube and stuff like that. But I'm like super interested in like the artistic part. And I was just wondering like the software behind it and how complicated or how easy or how that kind of works.
The software is a little different. Illustrator is what I use to create most of my graphics for social media in, and that's also because I love Illustrator. We do teach Photoshop. We also teach Illustrator, Photoshop. We teach After Effects, and things like that. Here at the department. But Illustrator is something that a lot of students use. A lot of students in the department also use Fresco, which is a part of the Adobe. Since you want to do like a lot of the drawings, that will be perfect because that's all Fresco is for. It's for animation and digitalizing drawings. Illustrator, it can be used in multiple different ways, depending on what you do. We do have Adobe We use Adobe Creative Cloud, so that is something that the students pay for out of their pocket. But we use Adobe Creative Cloud. It's only $20 a month. Like Zaria said, there's a lot of companies who internships or things like that who will sponsor you and give it to you for free. If you show interest, Adobe Max this year they were giving away so many subscriptions for the conference just for Adobe Creative Cloud. Like if you attend or do something, they were giving subscriptions away. But Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Fresco is what I would say, since you really wanted to do like the actual art part of it, is to get into it, because Fresco is really more so if you have like a tablet. It's not really more of a desktop program. So if you have like an iPad or a tablet or something like that, you can do it, or you can actually put Fresco on your phone. I've seen students do it on their phone as well.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned Adobe, and we actually have an Adobe Academy that our students can participate in at our high school. And someone asked earlier about what they should be doing in high school to prepare. So what would be your advice for students enrolling in those classes in high school, in the Adobe classes while they're in high school, and earning certifications? They're also able to earn certifications for free while they're in high school.
Oh, that's awesome. I would say if they're really interested in getting into it as a career, to really take it seriously, for one, but learn as much as they can while it is free. Because when you get to college, those certifications cost. Our students who do get certifications typically pay for those certifications out of their own pocket, or they'll win a scholarship or something to take the Adobe certification. That would be something that I would say. It just depends on if you really know you want to do photography and video. I would say make sure you focus really heavy on the Photoshop, Lightroom, After Effects, Premiere stuff. If you really want to do the user UX UI stuff, really focus on Adobe XD. That's their UX UI program, really understanding that. And if you want to do like the graphic design stuff, you can do a mixture between Photoshop and Illustrator. They play a part in how you want to lay out your designs. Zari, is there any advice that you would have for that?
I mean, you pretty much said it, like you said about Adobe XD. Like if UX UI design is something you really want to get into and you have access to, Adobe Creative Cloud, like I would say go for it. Adobe XD. It's pretty simple once you get into it. They have a lot of plugins. So by plugins, they have a lot of like icons already that you can use, and different like pre-existing pictures and things like that you can implement within your design. So you can strictly like really focus on the overall experience of it. And again, like Figma, if you guys can't, don't want to necessarily use Adobe Creative Cloud, Figma is really great because you can do it online. You don't necessarily have to download a particular software, and you can just practice. Figma is pretty much the same, similar to Adobe XD. But I've even seen people like, I know with Miss Brown's class, when I showed you guys the Enhance app, we use like Illustrator, and then to create like all our different screens for the app. So it's definitely possible, even if you are getting into UX or just design period, that you can use Illustrator for various different things too.
Okay. I think I saw a question pop in the chat. Miss Nakia Cheat said, is it hard to draw online? Starting out, it took, I think I mastered the pen tool and Illustrator in a day, but that's because I was determined. It took most students, when I start teaching them the pen tool and how to draw online, they don't like it at all. Just because it starts out being extra. You just have to be very mindful of what you're tracing and how to draw it. You got to be very particular. And students are very, very particular. Like if that curve is off by like 2 centimeters, they'll start the whole project over. So with drawing online, it started off, it'd be hard, but the more you do it, it becomes easier. Now drawing online, what would normally, when I first started out, would take me about a couple of hours. I mean, like 4 or 5 hours, probably take me about an hour, hour and a half now. just because I do it very often. I honestly draw mostly on my iPad, only because Adobe has created software where you can particularly draw on your iPad, and it's just easier versus trying to draw with the mouse on the screen. So that would be it. Zari, what do you think about it? Is it hard to draw online?
Well, I have a touch screen, which makes it like 10 times easier. Because then I can just like, I think that's why I'm not gonna switch to a Mac yet, just because I love my touch screen and I can just like, even my laptop, it can flip or whatever, and I can just use my little stylus to draw on my laptop, which makes it a lot easier than trying to like use a mouse or anything like that. And it's just that much easier. Yes, Ms. Brown is definitely right. I did not like the pen tool when I first started out. Like, and I actually told Ms. Brown, I was like, I like Photoshop better than Illustrator. I'm just gonna stay with Photoshop. And then like once I started really using Illustrator, I realized like Photoshop is a little bit more limiting and you can do a lot more with Illustrator. And I actually cannot go back now. And it's a lot more fun and flexible. So I think honestly, it's really all about practice. If you're dedicated and this is really something you want to do, you really have to like be in the software and practice, because that's the only way you're going to get better. And yeah, that's really what I would mainly say.
Okay, I think I saw another one. Charlotte, excuse me if I say your last name wrong, Powell. In your career, how would you say the ratio of art and physical design is it to the business side of it? That's actually a really, really good question. Um, the ratio of art and physical design. So for me, because I am more of a digital artist, the physical art of it, I don't ever do. Um, I don't ever do it. I don't teach it here at the university. That is something that I don't do. The business side of it, it really depends on where do you want to go when you graduate. What artist do you want to work for? I mean, what type of artist that you want to be, and what type of information that you want to put out when it comes to the business side of it. I tell a lot of my students, you whatever you want to do, you can do it. If you want to work with local artists, local companies, you can. But if you want to work for a lot of celebrities, you can as well. You just have to find that niche of which way to go. Just how I got connected with Cam and Brian Burns. I'm a huge football person anyway. I love football. I actually watch they had like the Carolina Panthers had like a story on Amazon one day, and I was like, oh, let's just watch this. And I saw when they drafted him, and I was like, I had no idea who he was honestly until they drafted him. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And I was like, oh, he likes Spider-Man. Cool, me too. I like Marvel. Then I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if somebody do his logo, like I showed you guys. And I was like, okay. But then his brother, they showed a picture of his brother. His brother used to play. So being the person that I was, I went on Instagram looking for. I followed Bryant, but his brother popped up as well. And I ended up messaging his brother because his brother is the person who represents him. It's his agent. So I was like, hey, I really got this cool idea to do this logo for him. I would love to send it to you if you can, if I have the opportunity. I really didn't think his brother would message me back, but at the same time, my mindset was if he says no, I didn't lose anything. Um, so I just sent him a brother. His brother was like, sure, here's my email, send it back, sent it back. I sent like maybe 10 concepts that I have, and his brother chose two. And he was like, can we just use two of these? And I was like, sure, that's fine. And he was like, okay, cool. And that's how it became a consistent thing. The first logo that I did for him, I didn't charge them at all. Now that we're like we have basically have a contract on things that has to be produced out every week, every other week, monthly, things like that. So it's the same thing with me working with Cam Newton. I connected with somebody who works with him as well on Instagram, and the other guy, his name is Cam as well. Cam, that's how we became connected. And then Cam had the opportunity to design for Cam, but Cam was on a deadline with his full-time job that he didn't have the opportunity to. So he said, hey, I'm going to refer you. Are you open to this project? And I said, sure, I have time. Now, what I didn't know was when I said I have time that they would email me at 6 o'clock in the morning and needed by like 12 p.m. that afternoon. But I was able to like, oh, okay, sure, we have time. So that's what kind of how it came out, and that's how the project came about. So when it comes to like the business side of it, is I tell my students all the time, you pick who you want to work with. If you want to be the person who works for a Fortune 500 company, helping them, helping things like that, you do it. But if you want to be the person who doesn't, who really just wants to work for themselves, I have a lot of students who want to work for themselves. They don't want to work for anybody when they graduate. That is totally okay too. It's totally up to you on where you put it at. So I hope I answered your question, Charlotte. Zari, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Um, I guess the only thing that I would say or add to that is really just like you can also do both, like Miss Brown said. I talked to Miss Brown a lot, and she's so helpful in just really helping me trying to figure out what I really want to do, because we have conversations about the fact that I may not always want to work, in corporate for the rest of my life and be a designer, and that's perfectly okay. Some people they go and work for corporate and then they leave and branch off, or they're in corporate and they decide they want to have like a business on the side, which is kind of what I want to do for a little while, and really just trying to help like students with their career and figuring out what their passions are, which kind of leads into the more design consulting part of things, which does obviously involve business. And so again, like Ms. Brown said, really finding out what works for you and finding out your passions will allow you to kind of figure out the direct path that you want to go in, which will make it a lot easier. I think if I would have kind of knew exactly what I want, the type of path that I want to do, it would have been a lot easier. But having good people around you to kind of help you with that path, like I said, she was like one of those people that I went to, was really helpful in figuring out where I want to be and where I want to be when I graduate.
Mhm. Anybody else have any more questions for us?
I want to know, would you be willing to put the names of some of those softwares you reference in the chat? So if any of the students kind of want to write them down before we get off?
I'll put the Figma one
Okay.
in. I know Zaria mentioned that one and I put it. And then I'll share the Adobe site where it's all of them. Adobe
Okay.
runs really good specials this time of year in August when it comes to software. Um, they run really good specials. I think they're for students. It starts off about $20 a month for a whole year, and then after that it goes up to 30. Um, so I'll put the K through 12, but I think it's a little cheaper for K through 12 than it is for college students.
Thank you so much.
Miss Brown, do you mind sending all that to me in an email as well?
Sure.
I
Somebody, you're fine. Somebody just asked another question.
I saw it. And Procreate, I mean, I don't know if you have any experience with Brown. I mean, I don't personally have experience, but I do know I do have a lot of friends that use Procreate, and they say it's a lot easier, especially if you're even like a beginning designer or just a beginning person who wants to draw for the first time. It's actually very beginner friendly, with the different tools that they have. And I think they can use it on an iPad, because I think it's for Procreate is only for Apple. Um, but I mean, I've kind of used it briefly before, and it's pretty fun, especially like me wanting to go more into start drawing, because I really can't draw that well. But if I wanted to start off in drawing, like Procreate, I would definitely recommend, if you have like an Apple product. Well, if you have like an iPad.
I have a little bit of experience with Procreate. It's fun. It's something that I'm challenging myself to learn in 2021 to be more good at. But from my students who do use it a lot, um, I teach my students in Illustrator first how to do animation characters in Illustrator, but then once they grasp the concept of that, most of them go ahead and just move straight to Procreate, and they create really good illustrations with that. So Procreate is actually pretty good, especially if you want to get into a lot of the drawings and things like that. It's really good. I've played around with it, not very long, but it's something that I'm challenging myself to learn in 2021. Anybody else have any more questions?
These have been some really good questions. I appreciate you students joining in today.
You're welcome. Trying to see if anybody.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Brown. Are you aware of any scholarships that might be available for high school students to study graphic design in college?
There are a lot of scholarships available. They're all very, like, I think me and Zari was having this conversation, I think yesterday when we were talking. They're very hidden. So you really have to search for them. There are a lot of different scholarships for graphic design, but there are also a lot of scholarships that companies will pay you just because you go to school. Where you go, it depends on where you go. There's many different scholarships, and I can send you the list that I have. Um, that I have from different companies that, and when I send it to Nathan, he can CC
Please, please.
you on it that you guys can have. But there's a lot of different scholarships that you can have. A lot of students, I believe she's actually one of those great students who when she got in college, she found more scholarships. I believe every semester that had taught Zari, I've had to write a recommendation letter for her for a scholarship. She got a scholarship, I think, a couple of weeks ago. What was it, to the Afro conference there was Disney sponsored her to go. So I think it was last month or month before last that she went. So there are scholarships to go to conferences as well for students that people would go, and then there's other scholarships just for them to just apply. Like if they have, I do know some of them you have to have a certain type of GPA and an SAT score, but I could still send that information over to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This
If Miss Nicole, if you put your email in the chat, I'll CC you on it when I
Thank you.
like that. Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions? You're welcome, Charlotte.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you both of you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any more questions?
No, sir.
How much what's the price for a t-shirt? Like average. How much would y'all sell it one?
For a t-shirt,
Yeah.
are you talking about just for the concept of the design of the t-shirt?
Well, like the price of a design.
It really depends on what they're designing it for, what's the market. For me, that depends on it for me for the design price. Just for, I think my t-shirt design prices are like starting out right now, they're 150 just for the concept, and then it comes with two revisions, and after two revisions, if they need more revisions, then I'll just charge them extra for that. But it really just depends. Just for the concept. I don't do any of the printing for the shirt. I just design it. I let the customer handle all of the printing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any more questions? I think everybody agrees. I've seen several in the chat say thank you. This has been informative. It really has been.
You guys are welcome. Thank you for the invite, and thank you, Zaria, for agreeing to do this with me.
Yes, Zaria, it's been
Of course.
great. It's really neat, Zaria, that you said that you weren't very good at drawing, and yet you can still make all those awesome designs. I think that's huge right there.
Yes, I was the teacher that Zaria said I'm not gonna do Illustrator at all. I'm gonna do Photoshop. And I was like, your mindset will change by your junior year. And she's a junior. She's like, oh, I don't really touch Photoshop.
All right. Well, if you students don't have any more questions, we'll let them go. Hey, I can't thank you enough, really. This has been great.
Okay. You guys are more than welcome. Shoot me an email if you need any questions. Students, if you think of something ever, you guys can shoot it to him and I'll respond back to it. One of me or Azaria respond back to it. And I'm going to get you guys those list of scholarships right now.
Right. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.